here we are. What's your name?
All right. My name is Calandra.
Calandra. What's your last name, Calandra?
Calandra Revering. And what's your last name, Lance?
Asher.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, welcome, everyone, to Full Spectrum Cannabis.
Yeah, Full Spectrum Cannabis.
Right.
It's our first show. This is going to be fun. Mm-hmm. Right? When did we meet each other?
I think we met each other, almost a month ago?
Yeah, something like that. Maybe a little bit more than that.
Yeah. And I'm just now drinking your new beverage.
Yeah, it's not in market. It might be in market soon once people are listening to this.
It tastes really good.
Thank you.
All I need is a lime wedge.
You need a lime wedge?
Yeah. Yeah.
You can do that at home.
Yeah. It's, what is this, Lemontini?
Yeah, Lemontini.
Lemontini. I like tart things.
Right. Tart's delicious. Right? Some people call it sour, right? If we get into like gummy land, that's all the adults are eating these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all we
Should we get it?
We can sell.
Yeah. Should we maybe talk about like some stuff?
Yeah. Yeah. So first, I guess we should let the audience know kind of what we're doing here. So our purpose is to talk about cannabis and the ever-changing landscape of cannabis. We'll be answering all your marijuana questions.
Do we get into hemp at all?
Sure, why not?
Yeah, cannabis as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, good.
Absolutely. Cannabis, hemp, all the good stuff.
Right.
Drinks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gummies.
Yeah. Minnesota's
Dabs. Have
taken
you ever done
over.
a dab?
No.
Neither have I. I mean, sometime I'm going to, but I feel like I need like a guide or something to do that.
Have you ever done shatter?
No. Isn't that kind of the same thing?
It's kind of the same thing. Yeah. Yeah. But in Arizona, it looks really cool when you buy shatter.
It does.
Yeah. I'll be glad when we bring it here.
Well, soon enough. I mean, if soon is like a year or so from now, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we're getting there. In Minnesota, we're getting this is from Minnesota, but not just for Minnesota.
So each segment will start off with some news, both local and nationally. This is to give a bigger insight into what's going on in Minnesota and to let Minnesotans know what's going on across the U.S. and really across the globe, too, when it comes to cannabis.
Right. So for those not in the room with us, there's tape on the camera and a piece of paper that says "Hi!" and then a smiley face.
Yeah, and people telling us what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, everybody needs direction. It's just when you're, when you're trying to be as coachable as possible, But anyways, Nebraska, we're back to Nebraska. Nebraska, the legislature has approved an amendment to, reduce the taxation that they were going to put on hemp and CBD products.
Really?
They were going to put it at 100%.
What?
100% tax. Seriously. 100% tax on it. So if you were to buy a pack of $30 gummies, it would cost you $60 because of the tax.
They might as well get in the car and drive here.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we've been driving everywhere for this stuff anyways, right? I mean, how many people have gone to Michigan for this? But anyways, they're going to go down to 25%, which is still, I think, a little extreme.
That's ridiculous.
Is it?
Yeah, but the tax is pretty high in Illinois. I don't know if you've ever...
I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's like 20%.
Yeah, and that's on top of regular state.
Yeah.
Or in municipal tax.
Yeah.
I suppose. I wonder... We can do a lot of cool things with the tax, so I mean, I understand it. But if you tax us out of being able to enjoy the plant in the ways that we want to enjoy the plant, I mean, we want to make sure that it's accessible. I think there's a lot of proprietors here in Minnesota that are good at that. But if you put 100% tax on anything anybody did,
they wouldn't do it.
Well, then everybody goes out of business, right?
Yeah, and I think it makes the black market grow even bigger.
Yeah.
Because why would I buy from you when I can just find somebody else to buy it from?
With how much tax? How much tax is on that legacy market?
Zero.
There's zero tax on that.
Yeah.
What do you, income tax and sales tax?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's why it's thrived for so long.
And you can probably get free delivery too. Yeah.
Free delivery, but
Yeah.
but it's a free delivery with like an hour-long conversation
Yeah.
because time moves really slow sometimes.
Yeah, but you find the right weed guy, he'll even give you discounts from time to time.
Yeah.
So
Well,
why would I pay double?
right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have the next news one?
I do. Since Minnesota is trying to move towards a lottery system, I've been very outspoken about how this affects social equity applicants. Missouri revoked 9 marijuana business licenses over social equity violations. So with these 9 applicants, they found that they actually were not the real owners.
How do you do that? How do you get away with it?
Well, they didn't. Well, what they did
Well, they
was
didn't get away with it,
Yeah.
but
So what
how'd
they
they do it in the first place?
What they did was, so Missouri had a lottery,
Okay.
and what they did was they found different people who were going to apply, and they just kind of latched on to them and made all of these applications. So it's a place called Canazone was connected to 104 out of the 1,048 applications that were entered into the lottery.
It's like 10% almost.
Yeah. And applicants thought they were partnering with the Michigan investor, but in reality, what they did was they pretty much gave away most of their company. Because many times what happens is the operating agreement, a lot of people don't really read it,
Right.
or they don't get a lawyer, and they won't even get paid until the company makes a certain amount. Well, that amount is outrageous. They would never make that amount of money.
Yeah, well, you're set up to not even be a part of it from the beginning.
Yeah.
Is kind of
Yeah.
what you're saying there.
Yeah.
So, being a lawyer, right? Say that you're setting up a business, right? There's a lot of folks that want to set up a grow that, even a craft grow or a larger grow or open a dispensary. Like, I know, you've got business plans. Sure, you should have a business plan. You should have this. You should have that. Like, of those professional capacities, what do you think are the 2 most important when you'd be going to start something like that?
I would say the most important is making sure you seek out legal advice to understand what you're signing.
Right.
And what you're getting into.
Okay.
Making sure you understand the risk. And the other issue, I think, is having a really good team.
Yeah.
Because it's really tough doing it by yourself or with a group of people who really don't know what they're doing. So surrounding yourself with some folks who are experienced with owning a business and understanding what it takes.
Sure. Nice. One more? Do you think we might have time?
Yeah.
I don't know how fast we've been talking, but it's been fun.
I don't either. But you know what I want to talk about?
Huh.
I want to talk about this article that was in the Star Tribune yesterday about if Minnesota doesn't figure out how to get those plants in the ground or seeds in the ground,
Yep.
we ain't going to have shit.
I know. I saw that too. I didn't see all of it because it's paywalled. So when people send that stuff to me, I'm like, I'm sure that it's great, but nah, I'll be all right. You know what I mean? So I'm happy I'm hearing about it now.
Yeah. So what do you think's going to happen if we can't get some weed out there pretty soon?
I mean, people just keep going to other states.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the things that is happening is we have some dispensaries on reservations, and I heard, what was it, Treasure Island? I think Treasure Island was looking at doing something.
Yeah, but they got to get seeds in the ground too, which I believe they're doing soon.
They do. I mean, there's a whole bunch that's around that law, and maybe we'll get into it when we feel like it's kind of like computer work for me, but you enjoy it. So
I do.
I think that's why we're
I do. I
partnered
enjoy
up,
this shit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good fun. That's why I'm happy to be partnered with you anyways.
I'm happy to be partnered with you too, Green Elevator.
Green Elevator? What's one of your other brands other than just lawyering?
So we own a THC beverage called Slay.
Yeah.
We've got 3 different fabulous flavors.
Right. I've had them. They're good. They're really good.
Thank you. I love this green elevator, this lemontini.
Lemontini.
Yeah. And I also own a dispensary in Brooklyn Park called Good Zen.
Good Zen.
Yeah.
I've been in
make you
there.
feel
It's a
good.
good Zen when you walk in.
It is.
It really
Did
is.
you like it? It wasn't what you expected, though, huh?
Oh, sure it did.
Really?
I met you before. And I think that a lot of the folks in Minnesota have done a really good job with making things look nice.
Yeah.
Inside of the space. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's you walk into the place and the new rules around keeping edibles behind the counter. That was a little bit of a bummer. People kind of like that. You're not going to buy this glass when it's behind when it's behind glass.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Some people just like to touch the package. Anyways, that's enough of my short little rant about that. So what else was there? There was the seeds in the ground thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. I really think that's kind of what I joked about at the beginning. I don't think we're going to be in any place super awesome as far as dispensaries being open and good Minnesota product in said dispensaries.
Yeah.
I mean, we have medical, we have fantastic hemp proprietors and farms and all of those things. They're like it's already there.
Yeah.
There's plenty of us that are already growing in our own homes or in our, other friends' homes.
Yeah.
Because we're doing construction in our basement or something. I don't know.
Well, I'm just glad the XL energy rate hike won't take place. So for folks that are growing in their own home, their light bill won't be really, really high.
Could you imagine if you didn't live like in the cities? It's kind of like you're on county or you're off county. Like that's what happens when you get further out, right?
Yeah.
Or too far north. Or
Yeah.
I haven't been to all of the corners to see what they're all about, but
Yeah.
the important ones in my mind. We'll get there. But if you got a cooperative or something like that, I've heard that the rates are just like whew when you're growing.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
we're not talking about an extra $100 a month. We're talking about an extra couple $100 a month.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then is it worth it? Going back to legacy market,
Mm-hmm.
you go back into the legacy market, you probably can get done what you want to get done for less
Yeah. Yeah.
than growing, but you're not going to have all the fun of growing and smelling and looking and taking pictures and sharing with your friends. I mean, it's like, it's kind of like a newborn to a lot of people.
Yeah, and Minnesota is interesting because, people, first of all, Fargo, okay? I love Fargo. I love how it portrays Minnesotans.
Right.
That's because I'm not from Minnesota.
Well, right.
Because
where are you
they
from
would
again?
be. I'm from Milwaukee.
Milwaukee.
Yeah. But I went to elementary and junior high school in Las Vegas, but originally from Milwaukee and went to high school and undergraduate in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Came here for law school, and I haven't left, but I get back home enough.
Sure.
Both Milwaukee and family in Vegas. But Minnesota is very interesting. I had never been here before I came to law school. But, one thing I would hear when I would travel is they have black people in Minnesota. Well, now, they don't ask that question since George Floyd.
Right.
But, we got Mall of America. But to think now we can grow weed.
Right.
Once they get it all figured out,
Yeah.
it really changes the outlook of Minnesotans and people outside of Minnesota.
Sure. Right. I mean, now Wisconsin is really not just the place that we're from and an awesome place to go back to.
Yeah.
But also the place that doesn't allow it.
Yeah.
Kind of like Sunday liquor sales for Minnesota for years, right?
Right.
But now we can buy THC in a grocery store.
Hey,
we can buy it in a liquor store. Like the beverage and edible movement of Minnesota is. I mean, people notice it nationwide.
They do. I went to the THC beverage conference last year.
Yeah.
And it was in San Francisco, and Minnesota was the talk of the conference by every speaker because we're a leader in THC beverages. Last week I went to MJ Biz in Atlantic City.
Yeah, how'd that go?
It went great. And once again, Minnesota was the talk because of what we're doing with hemp.
Right. It's not that everybody else can't do this with hemp. So, like, if you're listening to this thing, like, reach out to us. We can help you do these types of things. We know the people that are doing the things in the places around the country. And I know that there's some awesome people around the country that are doing stuff, but really the people that are making gummies, the people that are making beverage in Minnesota, the expansion of stores, the grow stores that are out there you didn't really even think about before, like Greener Gardens over in Richfield. Like, what a gem, and it's been there for ages, right? Like, we're missing out on a lot of it. Like, it's not for your tomatoes now, you know? Like, and it's a weed, so it grows, but to grow it well, it takes, oftentimes people smarter than you, and, sometimes we're going to be smarter, and sometimes everybody else is going to be smarter, like most of our lives, right?
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things they were saying last week is how smart Minnesota was to roll out edibles first. Now, we kind of know how that came about.
Sure.
Some folks just didn't read the bill, and but then they got mad.
It was a
later.
long bill.
It was,
that if we think that's how that happened then isn't that how everything else happens?
Yeah, why would an elected official want to read something?
Well, that's for the AIDS. Right? I mean, I don't have any idea, but I'm sure that's probably what happened maybe. But then it happens with everything else. So now we're like, well, that's all that was. And it's like, well, now if we fully believe that, then that's all that was for the other things too.
Yeah. So they feel like we are a leader in kind of how we're doing this whole cannabis legislation because we have edibles and drinks first, whereas in New Jersey, you can't sell anything. If you don't have a license and you're not running, and it costs a lot of money.
I was going to ask about what the cost is out there.
It's extremely expensive. They were talking about upwards of like $70,000 and just paying for all these licenses. And whereas we're really blessed here, in the way that we're moving forward.
Is it still? So say that you wanted to have a full-on dispensary, right? So you wanted a dispensary. Is it still $10,000 for the license as far as like the registration for the license, right? And then it can be up to half of that for the municipality. They can also impose their own licensing fee, but it's like 50%, right?
Yeah, they have to pay multiple fees.
Yeah, but we're not as bad is kind of what I'm trying to say in Minnesota, right?
Exactly.
I mean, so we're talking $15,000 to get into a dispensary. I mean, that's just the licensing. I don't want to make it sound really inexpensive. It's not inexpensive to do a full-on dispensary, but the licensing. But then out there, we're talking $70,000.
It's
the opportunity
outrageous.
is pretty great here.
Yeah,
kind of like our lake.
Yeah, but I will tell you this: they do have state money to give to social equity applicants.
Okay.
To help them, with some of these fees and the process, but they haven't really received the money yet. So it's kind of, on one hand, it's great. Yeah, you gave it to me, but when am I going to get it?
Right.
But is it any different here? We have all these so-called funds.
Yeah.
Cannabis funds. We've got Canna Train. We've got all kinds of different stuff, but we haven't seen any of the money yet. So I haven't heard anything about it.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah. When are we going to get that? I was told by the state that there was going to be an RFP to go out to these nonprofits.
Yeah.
And then you apply to nonprofit, get the money, but that hasn't happened either. So, maybe they're drinking our beverages and just chilling out.
That would be great.
Yeah.
That would be great.
The aides are drinking.
That's even better.
The beverages.
That's even better. Because sometimes we watch the young folks and we're like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Like now, this is kind of cool.
It's kind of cool, right? I mean, what we get to do.
Of course.
Right? The industry that we get to be a part of, the podcast that we get to sit on and talk about whatever we want.
Whatever we want.
Right?
I love it.
Well, what else should we talk about? Should we find out more about you?
Oh, my gosh. Well, I guess so. So I'm a lawyer. I'm married. I've got kids.
Sure.
And I've got grandkids. Can you fucking believe that?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm that grandma. I can tell you that right now. And you know what it means to be that grandma? I still go to the club. I do.
Yeah?
I do. Yeah. And I like, all kinds of rap music. I like Gucci Mane. I like, Future, Drake.
Right.
And I go to rap concerts with my kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're going. I'm going. You don't get to have all the fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I'm the grandma. I'll drop off cupcakes and stuff and go home.
Yeah, I don't even want to see the kids. I'm just dropping them off.
Just
They're out on the front step.
get them all sugared up and hyped up. And
Grandma's coming over to play with the kids, just dropping off cupcakes. That's fantastic.
And I got 2 dogs, 2 little dogs.
2 dogs. How little, right? Like, or like little dog? We're not talking lab when you say 2 little dogs.
No, 9 pounds and 13 pounds.
Okay.
Lady and Milo.
All right. Do we want to get into breeds, or are they just muddy?
They're bougie dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wear like ribbons in their hair and special collars and
yeah.
have awesome nicknames. But
they do. Lady.
But you embroider them on a sweater.
Not quite.
Not quite.
Not quite.
Not even for the holidays.
That would be really fucking bad. I would never do that. I know people that would, but
yeah. Well, right. We've seen it.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So what about you? Does your wife like you?
Most of the time. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, most of the time. I mean, I think that's about the best we can get. Right? If most of the time we're doing all right, then we're doing all right. Yeah. A couple of kids, dog, French bulldog.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You got a French bulldog?
Yeah.
Girl or boy?
Boy.
What's his name?
Gus.
Okay. All right. That's like a real name.
It's a real name, but it came from Angus because he's all black. He's an all black French bulldog. Okay. And so they called him Angus, and we're like, well, and I'm like, what? And they're like, like certified black Angus. And I was like, you thought about that name too hard. Like I appreciate that there's a story here, but I'm going to go with Gus.
That's like really good steak, Angus.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Now they got Wagyu, and like massaged cows. Nothing wrong with it. It's delicious. Right.
All right.
Well,
tell us how you got into cannabis.
Oh, cannabis. Legacy market when I was younger, then corporate life.
Okay.
And once it was corporate life and kids and all of those things, and it was like, all right, cool. Clean it up.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're not having conversations around cleaning that up anymore. Yeah, and then I was working at Beer Dabbler, and Beer Dabbler needed to figure out a new concept after closing the Growler magazine, and so we built Dabbler Depot, and really created quite a following in edibles and beverages, and we're lucky to be open and have a coffee shop attached to the liquor store to be able to sell those beverages and edibles out of there, and we were there from the start when there was like Trail Magic and Clarity and North Vibes and Vibes and Canna Chill, right? And went from just a handful of SKUs that we were selling a lot of to 200 plus brands that you're still selling a lot of, but just not like in the beginning. Like people, like there was limits on how many beverages you could buy because people are into it, right? I mean, into it just about as much as they're into it now. Now we just have more people hanging out with us, perhaps living a healthier lifestyle, perhaps not. And they were going a direction, I was going a direction, and when we split off, and I created Green Elevator Cannabis, and so we've got lemon cake already, mini donut, and molten fries. You dip the fry in that, that frosty or whatever you got, and it's just like I'm recreating that flavor somehow. Lemontini that we've been talking about, that should be out very, very soon. So make sure that you're checking up on us to see what we're up to. Do you have any new product that's coming out?
Yeah, we're actually working on a coffee, THC coffee.
Oh, nice. Is it going to be like cold brewy or like...
It's going to be cold brewy.
Or syrupy.
Yeah.
Like a coffee syrup or something. And the beans still in the bottom. Wouldn't that be funny though?
That would be hilarious.
It would be. I mean, choking hazards and
hilarious.
stuff is probably not a good thing, but I mean, they put it in the chocolate. It's obvious that it's there.
Right.
I mean, we're putting tahini and stuff on top of you seen? Is it me soda? Me soda. They got to put a little goop or something and then some. It was like it looks like a mess of a drink, but I bet you it's delicious. I haven't tried it yet. Maybe she'll send some in. We'll put the website. We'll put the address up on the website for samples.
I can't wait.
What do you think about all of these conferences? Right. I mean, I understand the networking benefit of it. I totally understand that. What do we think? And I haven't been to one, so I'm just going based off of what I've heard or what I've seen, or just from talking with folks about what it is. And so you've got Bazinga, and you've got
MJ
Biz. You were just at, and any
Cannabis Times. You've got CannaCon, Lucky Leaf,
CannaCon.
Yeah. You actually have the
competitions. I kind of like the idea of, but that's cool. But the rest of the conferences where somebody's, probably, and again, I'm not ripping on anything. I heard this sideways from somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of vaporizers, right? And not like the flower vaporizers, but just like the Cardi type vaporizer type things that mostly are going to have nicotine in them, and maybe they're delivery devices for cannabis, but I don't know. What's it worth? What did you get?
I think, I go to several conferences a year. I invest the money because I think it makes me a better cannabis business owner.
Yeah. Because,
it's the seminars for me.
Sure.
The different seminars that talk about the customer. Mm-hmm. It's constantly changing about what a customer may like, what kind of products they like, how to get the customer back in. And you learn about the numbers. The numbers mean a lot, expenses versus revenue. And you've got the customer right there in the middle.
Right.
And how big do you want that basket to be?
Right.
What is that target number? And learning about bundling.
Bundling's the best.
Bundling
I'm
is
a big
the
bundler.
Shit. Yeah.
I'm a big bundler.
Oh, yeah.
And not like Burlington Coat Factory type
Not
of
like
bundling,
Burlington Coat Factory.
Not like
that,
6 scarves types of
That
action.
bundling is huge. And
but I'm going to give you 6 scarves for the price of 4. I'm telling you right now.
You got to make that basket big. What's that target number?
Right.
And, I take this, if my bud tenders aren't with me, because I took them to Cannabis Times conference last year, I'm bringing back the information so that they can learn how are we going to be better bud tenders, and then learning how to grow the company so that your employees are growing with you.
Right.
And, that reduces turnover. If you don't like weed, you should not be working in the industry.
No.
And
it's
I don't
people that don't like clothes that
exactly. Why are you in there being rude to people? Just
Stop it.
Go work at Cub Foods.
Right. Go make a sandwich. Right?
Yes.
It's fantastic.
Yes.
Just go make a sandwich.
You
can't take offense to anybody ever saying, go make a sandwich.
Yeah.
And
it's great going to conferences because, we kind of work in our own silos when it comes to cannabis. We'll go to little events here.
Right.
But, we figure out a lot of shit ourselves. We might call a friend or two. But at a conference, you all have the same issues.
Right.
And there's people there who are willing and more than willing to help you work through whatever issues you're having, especially trying to make money, trying to be legal, and just trying to grow.
Right. How many milligrams?
I'm like praying to Jesus that it just goes away, right? And he says, "Babe, you're having a green out." I said, "What the fuck is that?"
Fucking greening right out.
Yes.
I call it. Sometimes I'll say you're hitting the weed wall.
Yeah.
Like you just smacked yourself into a weed wall.
Lance, it was horrible. Never again.
Yeah, where you upstairs, turned the fans on, laying in the fetal position on the bed, staring at the back of your eyelids.
I was picturing myself in a field of dandelions and just waiting for the rain to stop falling on my face.
Okay, so it was raining. So were
It
the
was
yellow
doing-
dandelions are already like
They were yellow,
done.
orange.
Oh, man.
They were whatever.
Like
Every time I
dandelion
blinked my
feeling.
eye, the colors changed.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It
And
was
you
awful.
and you didn't stay there with your eyes shut. You kept them open.
No,
You were
I-
like, I'm here for
So
this.
then I fell asleep, and then the next
Finally?
morning, finally,
Oh,
the next
crap.
morning, I just kept saying, "Thank you, Jesus."
Did you wake up groggy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. It's the worst when you take too much, right? But it's easy to not take too much.
Yeah,
Like it says it on the bag.
yeah. So
And
you
you're
know,
like
I
eating
pushed.
pocket brownies over there.
Yeah, I pushed the micro dose. Just take a little, take a little.
And that brownie, they don't touch. Don't
No.
touch baked goods from your friends.
Yeah,
Like
fuck
people
those
come over to my
brownies.
house.
Never
People come-
again.
people
Never again.
I know what the dosage is. I know it, right?
you know what?
could
I
make
wouldn't
some
believe it.
caramels. I will make some caramels, and I'll be like those. And I don't dial them in straight, right? I'll be like, is there 15 to 17 milligrams for one whole caramel, right? That's fine. I just gave you a lot of information to bring you on whatever journey you want to have, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. It doesn't work,
It doesn't work.
right? Don't be eating your friends like,
Never.
well, I made these
Ever
unless they
again.
know.
Ever. Ever.
Will
ever.
you eat something that's not in a package with a COA?
Probably not.
Yeah. I think I'm still down, but I'm not eating brownies. There's too many times I've greened. It's twice I've greened out on
Really?
brown, and one was not even that long ago.
Yeah.
It was like a year ago. I was like, gah. Yeah, it was the worst. But
Yeah.
you want to know what I figured out in this microdosing is okay land, right? Because I don't know, like there's people that are like, oh, yeah, I smoke weed all the time. It's like, cool. That's great. I'm happy. I'm happy that that's what you do, as long as it's something that works for you. But I'm not happy if I get too high. And when I discovered CBD is kind of like my anti-venom,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah, that'll bring
so
you all the way down.
Right. So
Yes.
what I always will do for myself, and I think that this is probably a good recommendation for anybody else, but of course, I don't know, check with your doctor. I think that's
Yeah.
what we would say with a lawyer in the
Put
room.
that disclaimer out there.
Yeah, right? Like, you know you better. But CBD, what I do is, let's just say that I took 10 milligrams. 10 milligrams is probably not going to be the dosage that makes me feel uncomfortable. But let's say that I took 2 of my gummies. And then, well, shit, I totally forgot that I have this meeting. Or let's just say that I was coming to do the podcast. Right? I mean, we would have a fun time. I'd work myself through it. But sometimes what your mind is doing and what you want to be doing are 2 totally different things,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so CBD can totally help you out of that situation. So I took 10 milligrams. I want to come out of that situation. If I want to come out just lightly, then I'm going to take 20 milligrams of CBD, right? I'm not going to take it in a gummy. I'm going to take it in a
liquid
form that's
form.
a liquid form that's going to get into my system fast, right?
Yeah.
Now, if I really want to come out of it, then I'm going to go anywhere in between, I'm probably going to go 3 to 5 times. And if I really, really just want to get it done, it's going to be 5 times. So I'm going to go and take 50 milligrams
Yeah.
of CBD in that liquid form to pull me out of where I am. I haven't tried it in a smoking type green out situation. I think I'd be drinking full bottles of what we have access to in Minnesota if I had had a pocket brownie. Because
Yeah.
I have no doubt that I probably ran into something that was a 75 to 150 milligrams.
It was horrible.
Oh, my
It was
gosh.
horrible. Yeah, I learned about the CBD. I went to a dispensary in Illinois
Yeah.
a couple of years ago at a different conference. And I got an extra strength THC chocolate bar.
Right.
And the
What
bud
made it
tender.
extra?
And that's what it said on there, extra strength. I think it was
They
probably
do it with
100.
Tylenol. They do it with
Yeah.
Tylenol. Why the hell can't we?
Yeah, I think it was like 100 milligrams.
Yeah.
The whole chocolate bar. So the bud tender gave me a bag of CBD gummies. And he was like, if you take this and you get too high, take these gummies.
That's a
That'll
smart
bring it
bud
down.
tender.
Smart bud tender.
Did you give him a high five?
No, I just said, thank you.
Thank you. And you were out the door.
Thank you, Sam I am. Yeah, yeah.
That's fantastic. Let me ask you about the dispensary that you went
Yeah.
into, right? Because I was complimenting what we've done in Minnesota with our dispensaries, right?
Yeah.
Was it very, like my experience, I'll just tell you real quick, is, I go into a dispensary, there's somebody there that has a gun, that has a vest on. I understand the reasons of why that is, but still I'm in a very kind of stale, almost like old medical, like new medical's got like, they're like, oh, let's put something soft in here. So people are like, going to the doctor and they feel a little bit better when they don't feel good. It's like, oh, that's a good idea. But you go into the dispensary and it's just kind of, I don't know, very controlled.
Yeah.
Which again, I get. And then you kind of get into the other part of it and it's like this wonderland of beautiful lights and great things to look at and people smiling and they're looking across the counter and you can tell they probably just want to give you a hug, which is great. But what was the setup of that one? And like, did it feel better than that?
It was on a corner and I went to 2 of them that day.
Yeah.
And it seemed like really kind of earthy.
Yeah.
And very comfortable and very open, and it wasn't controlled like what you're referring to.
That's great.
And he was really nice. And then I went to another one where you had the security guard there, and it was interesting. You had to go in to these kiosks, and you had to pick what you wanted on the kiosk.
Oh, sure.
Pay for it.
Yeah.
No, I take that back. You pay for it when you get to the other door.
Sure.
So when you're done, the guard would buzz you in. So there were 2 guards.
Sure.
One before you came in, then another one
like jail.
after the kiosk.
Like jail where you've got, you got your stopgap in the process.
Yeah. And then he buzzes you through, and then you go stand in the line. And then you pay for it and
then
get your
release
stuff.
you.
Yeah, and then you go out a different door because, God forbid, you go out the door you came in at.
Right.
So that was a bit more control, whereas, the other guy gave me the free CBD. It was really relaxed. I could definitely tell the difference.
Yeah. I mean, I probably don't have to ask this, but which vibe was better?
With the free CBD.
The free CBD.
He was,
for sure.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I would have appreciated that as well. And that's what we want people to know is out there, right? Like,
yeah. And that's how our setup is. We want people to come in and automatically you feel comfortable.
Right.
You don't feel like uptight and,
Well, you may feel uptight, but that's why you're there.
Yeah.
Is so that you may loosen.
Yeah, and you could come in and, you look at the artwork and you can sit on the couch and chat with your friend for a little bit and just relax. And then you go through the other entry and then you see the dispensary.
Nice.
Yeah.
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 What else are we going to talk about?
All kinds of stuff. It's really endless.
It really is. It really, really is.
So until the next show.
We're going to have a next show.
We are. And the outro, they get to listen to some cool music, same way they heard it coming in.
We have music?
We got music.
Oh, my gosh. This is like so pro.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So, till next time, everybody.
Till next time.
Cheers.